The Dauntless. They enter through the rear of the building, and an ear pressed to the doorway seems to mean there's at least some room to infiltrate. The door is locked, but Squad Sergeant Davies has a trick. It takes little effort to modify the axiom effect he uses to simulate having actual dexterity to physically reach into the lock itself and start messing with the insides. It takes only a little bit to find a configuration that feels right, and then, with a quick twist of the energy, the door is unlocked. When the hell did you learn that? I was like 3 years old. It's one of the first things a troublemaking Andinus tot learns, Davies replies. Then he throws open the doors, and a forest of guns is pointed down the hallway. It's clear! Move in! Each of the doors they run across is quickly opened and checked. Bathrooms, a living room, kitchen, a janitor closet that has a few goodies in the form of a couple of plasma pistols hanging off a rack. Those are quickly swiped to add to their munitions. Kinetics have the range advantage by far, but plasma and laser have the ammunition advantage. The pistols find some use when a gangster tries to jump them and goes down with a scream. The scream is answered by shouts, and soon enough lasers and plasma are flying as bullets respond. "How many have we dropped?" someone asks. 9. Squad Sergeant Davies responds. "You've been keeping count?" "Yes." "So how many enemy combatants left?" someone else asks, and there's the sound of a hand meeting the upside of someone's head. 224, dumbass, basic math, is the response the more ignorant soldier gets. "No blue on blue. Come on, boys. We need to clear and secure the building. We need some place to put our rescue and captures after all." What do we do after that? We split the squad, half on defense to keep the area safe and the other half as a faster moving force to move out quickly and quietly into enemy territory and start raiding them. Then we switch out so one half can get some rest while the other gets some excitement. Sergeant Davies calls out, and they keep pushing through the building before coming to a pause. A room behind another 3 guards and with a huge bar on the door shows them just how much they need this place as a defensive point. There are 3 civilians in there, men all. "All right, see if they're injured and stabilize them if they are. Boys, reinforce the area. We've got a base of operations, and I'll be heading out with the first group. We need to start hitting these lunatics and rescuing civvies." And the local enforcers learn why ignoring the warning that my employers sent was such a bad idea. Moriarty notes as a plasma blast strikes the underside of the police cruiser, and it careens downward to crash. Opportunity. When the gangs arrive at the cruiser less than a minute later, they find it's already been looted as 2 unconscious women have been teleported to a safe house. A specially curated safe house on Moriarty's part that has innumerable evidence painting him as someone who's been trying to keep a lid on the chaos. When the dust settles, he should have 2 officers at least doubting that he's a harm to the local area. After all, someone wondering how to nullify the gangs and renew the area could only be doing good right, especially if they pulled you from a burning wreck and saved your life. They had warned the police to such a point that they had released the recording of the training their squads had done in the no longer theoretical civil breakdown and collapse of Level 8. Well, the casualties are going to be a great deal higher without a squad of 30 or so heavily armed soldiers systematically pacifying the gangs and rescuing civilians. Still, the brief excitement of the police crashing and burning had put a long enough lull on things for him to reposition himself. Right into the base of the Green Street Girls. Completely at ease with the increasing and exploding chaos around him, he casually weaves his way around the rushing gang members eager to kill and die for an idiot's cause, and makes his way up the stairs. There's a fortified room with a bar on the door. He smirks somewhat as he knows what's inside, something that the squads in the simulation some 6 hours ago all found without fail. 3 civilian men, younger, missing, and reported dead. They were feisty bastards being slowly indoctrinated into the gang. The first one slams into his waist and he turns with the tackle from the pissed-off Gobe and grabs the teen by the scruff of the shirt and holds him up as he allows his cloak to fall. That's enough of that, young man. If you're that eager to be away from this place, then perhaps attacking the person here to pull you from it is unwise? He chides the Gobi before setting him down. He then turns to see the Ikiyamaz freeze and clearly reprocess what to do. The large, fuzzy man with prominent ears slowly lowers the weighted shirt he had been twirling to use as a club. The sharpened spoon in the hand of the purple bipedal serpent man is slowly lowered. He really needed to learn what the name of the species is. This was the most of them that he'd ever met in his life, but it was still embarrassing he didn't know what the species is called. Now that we've introduced ourselves in a most kinetic manner, perhaps we should see about getting you three to my safe house. I'm afraid it will be a little crowded with the officers I was forced to rescue, but officers of the law will likely be quite the step up from your current company. Are they on the take? The Gobi asks. I don't know. They were out cold when I pulled them from the flaming wreck that was their police cruiser. For all I know, they've already bled out. But even being in the room with a cooling corpse or two has to be an upgrade from our current accommodations, he says in a clipped and extremely unimpressed tone. Who are you? The serpent man asks. Professor Moriarty, a Carib as you can see. You are? Elrath, a Miak, Jorgen Ikiyamaz, Spigot, Gobi. Wonderful. And now that we're all such good friends, could you please let me teleport you to my safe house? I really don't want you here, Moriarty asks, and all three of them look towards each other. So, what are you getting out of this? Jorgen asks, and Moriarty smiles. Man after his own heart. Oh, don't worry, I'm being well compensated. Now please, go. Moriarty says, holding up his left hand, and it glows with the axiom effect. After a moment, Elrath grabs his hand and is teleported to safety. Then Spigot grabs on, and Jorgen gives him a long, slow look before reaching for his hand and then vanishing to the safe house. All right, comms check. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Davies demands into his shortwave radio. Confirmed. We're set up good and tight. Good man. Hunker down good and tight. We're out to get some presents for you boys. Be ready to receive. There's going to be plenty of space for them, sir. Don't you worry. Howell replies. He and LaGrange were his second and third in command. The three of them were going to take shifts in keeping things steady and organizing the raids. Of course, what they didn't know was that Davies intended to take at least half of it by himself. This is training, after all. And if he doesn't push like an obsessed madman now, then how will he match an obsessed madman later? Do what's hard today so you can do what's impossible tomorrow. All right, team. We've got criminals to shoot, civvies to save, and loot to drag home. Any questions? The fuck are we waiting for, sir? I don't know. A jump cut? Davies asks in return, and there's some laughter. All right, let's kick some ass. They leave their safe house and are immediately under fire. Returning fire from the windows of the house itself quenches the attack before they can even finish taking cover. We gotcha! Go! Howell calls down at them. Got it! Davies calls back as he leads the charge into the burning city. Literally, the rooftops were wreathed in fire for no explainable reason. The hell was going on? Was it just fucking backdrop? Or was it a screaming lunatic launches herself at them on a plume of blue fire, a fire Aromenta with screaming madness in her eyes. More to burn, she screams and is met with a hail of bullets. She drops like a bag of rocks. Dumbass, someone mutters. Maybe not, it was a heavy reminder that our bullets will get through and around protections against lasers and plasma, Davies says. Right, now let's get moving. They push into the city and follow the sounds of laser blasts and screams. Come on, you bitch! You think this matters? I've got the upper hand. They stumble almost immediately onto a hostage situation and take their time to line up the shots. The hostage taker has her brains paint the area beyond and they all rush up. An injured officer and her terrified partner are quick to point their guns at them. You two need to get moving. We've set up a safe area, the green roof building. Come with us. We'll escort you, Davies says, and the two look up at him terrified. Ma'am, you need to hold it together. Come with us, please. She looks away from his offered pincer to where some of his men have disarmed the corpse they just made. Every weapon in our hands and out of criminal possession is a good thing. We need to get moving. They take his pincer. The boulder thrower has clearly not run out of toys to lob over buildings. It's rather interesting. Most weapon fire moves in a straight line, and those that don't advertise it as a feature. Ways to bank one shot and get at targets behind cover. The brute of a woman lobbing the things, not an earth erumenta as he had assumed, but a tret that's clearly been pumping up her muscles to unnatural levels, is far from satisfied to just use stonework and parts of buildings. She's taken to throwing cars as well. It'd be impressive if he hadn't had a good long moment right behind her and wondering if he should just kill the bitch. Then he reconsidered when he realized that he had all the power. She may be useful later. He tracks the shots, one after another. The next opportunity should be. He teleports in good and fast, and his fingers wrap around the upper arm of a woman before he pulls her away and out of danger, leaving her just close enough to the danger zone for her to see just how dead she would be if not for his help, even as he pulls her into a darkened alleyway. Now he has a hand around her mouth as he leans in invisibly. Good evening, madam. Suffice to say, you owe me a debt. I know you don't like that, so I'll make things simple. In 3 days, when this madness has blown over, a Mr. Carrows will come to see you. You will go with him. He is your date for the evening, and all you have to do is be a good date to pay off this debt. Her eyes widen and they dance back and forth. At this close range, he's clearly visibly, but not the details. She can guess many things, but can't tell any of them for sure. A date? A date. You're one of the few women of any integrity down here. Mr. Carrows needs some stability in his life. This is a trick. This has to be a trick. She may not be above average in intelligence, but she's certainly not below it, if not for her pesky sense of honor at least. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But suffice to say, madam, you owe me. So unless you want that marker hanging over your head, he says, playing at her sense of honor and fair play. She was one of the stable points of this gang, and if he can either have the gang lose faith in her, use her as an entry point, or outright subvert her himself, then he's got some serious power here. 3 days, Haley. 3 days, he says before stepping away and slipping off in another teleport. He then ports twice more. There are a few more ripe fruits to pluck.